I've seen companies double, if not triple, their price and not have it affect their win rates on sales conversations.
Okay.
So if you think about that, Jill, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm excited to chat. I believe you've got a new idea that you're working on, and you want some thoughts, advice on how to kick this off in the right, with the right steps forward. Um, Tell me about the idea. How long you've been working on it? Where'd you get the inspiration for?
Well, I have a partner and we used to work together. And we worked in diversity and inclusion. Um, we are now working in different jobs, but we still want to do this type of work. And we get called all the time from different companies to go in and speak. So we thought, well, we're doing this for free. We might as well make a business out of it. We're both still working full time. We want to turn this into a business so that when we retire in 4 to 5 years, that it will be up and running and that'll be our new job. But basically, what it is we promote inclusion in the workplaces, and we do that for organizations who are looking for social equality, equity, education for their employees to create a diverse and inclusive workforce. We do think that we do have a niche in the market right now, with everything that's going on in the world. But we do this through our keynote speaker series. We have workshops, we have coaching circles, and we create inclusive frameworks when they want to create an employment equity and diversity committee in their organization. And we deal with in the areas of inclusion, wellness, and conflict mediation.
Cool. Let me ask you questions, Jill. Is the business operating today and generating revenue?
It is generating revenue and it is operating today.
Okay, but early stages in the revenue, I'm assuming not enough to
Yeah.
support either one of you guys to go full time.
No, no. Within the next 4 months, our revenue will be $15,000.
Cool. Congrats. I mean, that's real money. Um, what what are some of the questions you might have for me to kind of help you move forward?
Well, we're getting lots of advice on what we should do. We're thinking like maybe what is a pitfall that we should avoid when we start up? What's something we shouldn't do?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great question. The biggest thing, Jill, I would say is not doing too many things at once. When I look at, my career and I've had the privilege of talking to probably 5,000 entrepreneurs at this stage of my life. And it sounds like a lot, but I did like 2,000 or 1,300 Clarity calls when I built my company Clarity.fm. I coach, hundreds of SaaS founders around the world. So yeah, about 5,000 calls, speaking at accelerators, etc. Um, so I've seen the pattern of people starting off to the ones that were successful, and the ones that were successful triage quickly the things that were needed by the market, that were bought quickly and produce the most gross margin or profit, right? Because if you have too many things you're selling, then it adds complexity to the conversation. And most people do that because they feel like they don't have enough opportunity in one thing. So they add, here's a menu and we can do these three things or five things, because they want to get the sale. And the best entrepreneurs say, hey, we've got this widget. This is this thing, this service, this product, this object that we sell. And for the right person, it's amazing. And for everybody else, it's not no forever, it's just no for now. Does that make sense? So I think
Yeah.
that just that idea of saying, I've got this thing that's really valuable that we love to do, that creates a tremendous amount of value for our customer, that creates revenue for us in a way that's, sustainable, et cetera. And that we can then reinvest and grow the business because we had that focus, right? So selling one thing over and over and getting really good at it
Mm.
is incredibly lucrative. Trying to do that with three things or five things, it makes every conversation a consultative sale, which is more complex and hard. than a pure, here's an offer, what are your problems, I can solve that, here's how it works, do you want to buy or not, right? So doing too many things at once, I always say that companies usually die of indigestion, meaning they do too many things at the beginning, than starvation, meaning they do too few things or have too few opportunities to actually execute against. um, so that would be the biggest thing. As you, when I look or hear the different things, you have the workshops, you have the circle, the coaching, etc. I would ask you, if you had to pick one to generate, $100,000 in revenue, the fastest, that would create the most value for your customer out of everything you do, what's that one thing?
Workshops, because we
Perfect.
have
So
created,
then,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you already know. So I would encourage you to not do the rest of it. And even when you say workshops with an S, I would do workshop,
Oh,
right? And
yes.
get really good at selling that workshop. And maybe there's a part of the workshop, because this is where the economic model kind of has to be considered. Maybe there's, because selling one-off things is great if you can get them to pay up front and get a schedule going, but having something that pays ongoing. So maybe there's a component of the workshop where it's like it's a certain amount for the workshop, but then there's a fee they pay every quarter to get access to you to jump on a call with the participants to answer any questions. And then it becomes a multi-year engagement, even
Right.
if it's a lower revenue point ongoing, just to create that consistent revenue base. Because that's the hardest part for a lot of businesses that don't have, subscriptions, a really hot term lately, right? Because, Netflix and Amazon Prime and all these services are getting these incredible multiples, and like, software obviously has a subscription component, but you can build a subscription component in every business, from sign shops with an insurance program to cell phones, right? Cell phones have their, coverage that they're going to sell you, Apple Care. Those are all subscriptions, to get you paying a little bit of money long term over to build that revenue base. Because with the predictable revenue base, you can hire easily, you can invest in marketing easier, you can invest in the product design. So that would be my first suggestion, is figure out what's that one workshop that, when people hear, it's easy to sell, gets them in the door, and then when they're there or shortly after or right before, how can I sell them an ongoing thing? And that would be the offer, and stick to that and just try to scale it up. That would work really well.
Yeah. And I can actually see that happening with our first client that we're working with right now. So that, yeah, that's great advice. Thank you.
Awesome. What else you got?
We're trying to decide whether we should incorporate right away. We're just we don't know if we should do it now or see what our revenue is for the first year, or
Yeah, I mean, my rule of thumb for anything in business is cross the bridge when you get to it. I think a lot of people waste time and energy investing in things that are not now things. It's not that they're not important, right? Like, having a world class website is a great idea, but is that really the thing you need to do now, when most of your sales are going to come from referrals or word of mouth, right? And nobody's really going to your website. They're getting an email introduction, they're getting on a phone call, they're getting a proposal, and they're buying. They may never go to your website, as an example. When it comes to incorporating, it's the same thing. Like, until you do over, I think, 30,000 in Canada, I don't know what it is in the US. Um, you know, and the US has different corporate structures, but you don't even have to get an HST number. You don't even have to charge, HST. So I would say, until the revenues are there, don't, there's no reason to do it, right? I mean, as long as you know that you're protecting yourself and liability and all that. But always cross the bridge when you get to that problem. You need to be strategic. You might say, okay, well, I can see where if we follow this trend line, we're going to get there in the next 9 months. So maybe in 3 months we do it, as long as we're on that trend line still, and that gets us ahead of it. But trying to do I always think of business as kind of like, I have a certain amount of resources, and I have to deploy them across the business, right? Marketing, sales, customer success, support, delivering the product. And there's 100 things I could do that are all really important, that nobody would argue, shouldn't be done. But I got to decide what is relevant today versus later, right? Today, as in like, what needs to get done this week versus this month, this quarter, this first half of the year, this year, right? And that skill, I would argue, is the differentiator between great entrepreneurs and not great entrepreneurs. Not great entrepreneurs invest in things that are not now things, and then they don't have the capital, the resource to
Right.
invest in things that are now things, but because they've depleted their resources, they don't have the resources to invest in them to get the return today. So I'm always looking for, what do I need to spend money on that I can get a return on as fast as possible? And not even just a revenue return, gross margin or profit, right? Because the more profit I can collect faster today, the more resources I'll have to redeploy tomorrow to be able to grow the business. And that's, it's compound interest. It's no different than, you know, trying to stack a bunch of compounding returns as an investment. Over time, that will build like a hockey stick. But if I, where a lot of people do is they make an investment early and then stop so it doesn't produce any returns and then start it again in the future, right? Like, compound interest only works if you keep the investments going. So some people, invest and then pull their money out of the market, invest and pull their money out of the market, as an analogy. Well,
Right.
all of a sudden you reset every time you do that. So there's no compounding growth. Same thing with business. If you invest too early into something that's not a now thing, all that potential compounding growth gets depleted until it's actually relevant. So hiring a salesperson today, when you don't have a marketing function generating leads or an ability to teach that salesperson to go out there and get deals that you've taught that works, then paying that person a base salary, even if most of it's going to be on the commission side, is probably not a good use of your capital, as an example, right? So then you waste it instead of having it invested in, you know, freeing up your time hiring an assistant because you're delivering workshops and you're doing the sales calls, which are incredibly high value, and having an assistant take care of administrative, accounts payable, receivable, legal reviews, contract signing, calendar scheduling, your inbox, right? As an example.
Okay. Good.
Cool. Great question.
Thank you. Thank you.
What else you
So,
got?
well, we're struggling with determining how to cost our services. We work on contract basically for our
Yep.
workshops, and we work with nonprofits, and then we work for provincial governments and municipal governments. So we're costing them out totally different.
Yep.
But we really don't know if there a specific formula you're supposed to use, or we don't know.
So here's an interesting thing. Few little nuances. Let's not use the word cost and let's use the word price. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because even that psychology of like, what does it cost? When somebody says, what does it cost? I reframe it for them. Like if Jill, you said, hey Dan, what does it cost to hire you as a coach? I would reframe and say the investment is. So I want you to practice that on your next call. If somebody says, what does this cost, Jill? I want you to go, the investment is, with confidence, say the number. And you can even say the investment is only, and then the number. So it's a little nuance in word, but it's really important because I think, um, in business, the words we use, kind of communicate confidence in our services. So that's a little thing. The reality for pricing is, and it's a topic I'm incredibly passionate about because a lot of people starting off want to compete on price, right? Like, I don't want to lose the deal. I don't have this huge overhead. So I'm willing to price myself below what I know this person's doing this at, right? Or I've heard this person's doing it at, or even like what I think it might be worth. I'm willing to do it because I want the customer, right? Here's the thing about pricing is that the race to the bottom can never only have one winner. You can only ever have one low cost leader. There's only ever going to be one Walmart. There's no other Walmarts. Walmart's Walmart. And that's why Walmart's the largest company in the world with hundreds of thousands of employees. And it'll be really hard for anybody to compete against Walmart. Maybe Amazon's giving them a run for their money. But to be the lowest cost leader, there's only ever going to be one because it's the lowest price. So, what I always do in every business is ask myself, how do I create a premium service? How do I make sure that the price to value or the investment to value is at least three times the investment minimum? If you can get to 10x, that's great. And it's perceived value, right? So, what I would do is say, what would be a premium level? Not what everybody else does, not what like off the shelf e learning, diversity training company X, Y, or Z does, because that's not what you're giving them. You're giving them the Jill experience with the experience and knowledge, and it's customized. Like, it's really potent and valuable. So you want to price it because, and the other thing is, you know, your price tells a story. It tells a story of quality, of confidence, of completeness, right? If it's too low, people can go, "Wow." I've seen people, tell me about their service, and I'm like, "Amazing. What does it cost?" And then they go, "Oh, well, it's only this price," and it seems too low. So that
Right.
tells me A, you're not charging enough to make money, which is never a positive experience. B, if you're that low, a lot of people are using you, which means you're probably over capacity, which means I may not get the best level of service. And if I want you to be around, right, Jill, if I want you to be the person I turn to every time I have a diversity challenge, and I want you to be in business, I want you to love what you're doing, you need to make money. If it's too low, then there's also this calculation I'm going to make that maybe you won't be in business for a long period of time. And I see this all the time in the software world. $10 a month, $20 a month. Look, I'd rather pay you 50 or 100 a month, knowing that you're making money so that in 5 years, when I'm still using your product, you're going to answer my support emails, right? So the cool part is being a premium product is available to multiple people, right?
Right.
So you can have multiple people teaching inclusion and diversity, and what makes them unique is their positioning. Okay, so positioning is one of the most powerful things in marketing. Positioning allows you to be a premium service for nonprofits or government or this kind of organization, right? Because you're not only do you do a workshop for diversity and inclusion, but you do it for this vertical, this industry, right? So if I'm making a decision and I've got like these options, and I've got this one company that says they only do it for people like me, and it's more expensive, I'm going to do the calculation in my head. Well, yeah, but it's because you only do that, right? If you go to a mechanic and you drive a Volkswagen, and the mechanic only works on Volkswagen, but he's 10% more, but you can go to somebody else and he works on all cars. If you value having your Volkswagen managed by or worked on by a mechanic that understands your ins and out, you can assume it's going to be way easier. They probably have the parts. They've done this 100 times, right? And somebody that cares about that is probably a better customer, and they're going to go with the mechanic that's willing to that focuses and is 10% more, but they're not trying to price shop, right? Do you want a customer that's price sensitive or not sensitive? Not, right?
Right.
You want people that care about what you do as much as you care about what you do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you want to price it. So I would say the easiest way to do it for now at this stage, Jill, and the cool part is you should be putting your prices up every 6 months. Sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
Every 6 months. Yep. Here's what I mean by that. Every 6 months could be a price increase for the overall workshop. Maybe all of a sudden you have it's changing of your prices every 6 months. Maybe you have an upsell for the back end thing, the coaching. Maybe you charge for that. Now you don't. In the future, you will. So it's just one element of your packaging, your plans, or your pricing that you're going to tweak and change. Maybe you have an add on, for an extra $1,000, we'll do this thing, right? So that's what I mean by changing your pricing. But the easiest thing is, yes, put it up minimum 3 to 5% every year because you're just trying to combat, inflation with the dollar, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would say wherever you're at today, go up 10% and then see if it changes the conversation with your prospects. My gut tells me I've seen companies double, if not triple, their price and not have it affect their win rates on sales conversations.
Okay.
So if you think about that, double the price, same conversion rate to customer, applied to the last 3 years of their business, it would have transformed their ability to grow. So that's why I'm always trying to test what is the price yielding curve. And what you'll discover is some people will push back, some people won't. What's true about the ones that don't push back? The ones that are yes, you ever do like yard selling and then somebody says, well, "What's the price?" And you say it, and then they go, "Great, I'll buy it," and you're like, "Oh man, like I wish I would have asked for more." Like, though, you want to find out the people that like what's true about them. What do they believe? What's true about their business? What's true, like, because if you can find 100 of those people, your business becomes dramatically different. It comes better, right? And that's where they say the riches are in the niches, niching down, doing one thing really well for a very specific customer. Now you need to know if the market has enough customers and enough of those customers are actually looking for your solution. But if those are true, then you can create an incredibly lucrative business, and you should be the premium product out there, and you should um, make money and be incredibly profitable, because something tells me, Jill, if you make money, you're going to do good in this world, and you deserve to make money. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. Based on what I've shared with you, what are the biggest takeaways for you?
Um, well, the fact to only do one thing, do it good, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
I think that's it, because I think we were trying to customize too much, but we know what we're good at, and that seems to be what we like. That's what we sold for the last three to our last three customers, and that's what they wanted. So I
And
think
sometimes you need to tell them what they need. And that's why you're the expert. And that's why they're going to choose you. So when they want you to customize, you go, great. I understand where that's coming from. But based on our experience, that won't be as valuable as this. So if you trust me, I would
right,
encourage us to go down this path. And that's how I bring conversations back.
right, right,
Again, my job as a service provider is to get them the thing that they need that I know is going to have the impact. And if my customer's trying to ask me to go off that trajectory, that I need to get really confident and try to bring them back. And most clients I've discovered, like if I'm arguing with my doctor and he says, "Hey, Dan, I understand that you want to do this procedure, but here's what's happened in the past with people that went down that path. And based on your age and this circumstance, I would recommend Y, and it's going to have a better outcome." I'm going to appreciate that and probably take his recommendation.
yeah, right.
Cool. Because if they go forward and then you don't have a positive experience, it's a net loss, right? Or if it's too complicated and you don't, it just gets too hard. So I love that. So focus on one core offering that you know you can over deliver on. What else?
Oh, yeah, just the encouragement, I think, because we, I don't know, we started off very, very slow, and we keep getting. The more we talk about it, the more encouraged we get to do it and to go forward. And just having this chat with you, and you making it sound like it's a possibility, we can really do it. So,
Oh,
um,
not only is it a possibility, you have to do it. I
yeah,
mean, the work you're doing is needed in this world,
yes,
right?
it
And
is.
it's easy to dismiss it and say, hey, somebody else is going to do it if I don't do it. I don't agree with that. They're not Jill. They're not going to bring your perspective, your lens, your approach to solving that problem. And that's what makes great artists, right? It's like a country singer saying, well, there's enough country songs. I'm not going to create another one. I'm not going to write another one, right? Imagine if all these incredible musicians that we appreciate decided, because other people had already gave their version of that thing, that they're not going to create. I mean, that's the beauty of being in a service based business, that we're creating this interaction, this choreography, this content that for the right person, they're going to respond appropriately that otherwise they may not have. So I believe you need to do this. You need to shine your light. You got to be the example, and you deserve it.
Thank you. We
Awesome. Well, I
we
hope
will go
this
forward.
helps, Jill. Appreciate the opportunity, and looking forward to hearing how it goes.
I thank you for the opportunity. It was
All
great.
right.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
you have an amazing day. We'll talk soon.
You,
Cheers.
you too. Bye.